Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
Nice, okay. I want to apologize for the salsa on my shirt. It's New Year's Eve and we had Mexican food with runny salsa. That's one of the better things about the chunky salsa. It doesn't drip. So we were talking about angels and the possibility of meeting angels in everyday experience that we might not know, or the general public might not know are angels, but that some people pick up on the fact that there's something different about this person who may look outward appearances like a person, but may very well be an angel in disguise. We were talking about this. And I was at a Roadhouse bar. My name's Luke Ventures, by the way. I was at a Roadhouse bar outside of Belgrade, Montana for a New Year's Eve party with my stepbrother, two of my stepbrothers, my mom's husband's kids named Matt and Jesse. And there were people playing pool and drinking and carrying on. A band was going to perform in a little while. And there was this big guy milling about that I didn't really pay attention to at first. And then I went to the restroom and I was using the urinal, and over the top of the stall next to me, an arm came to the other side and said, "Hey man, here, do you have some of this?" And this is very strange because normally you wouldn't accept, it sounds crazy even saying it out loud, like a drink from some guy in a bathroom stall who just hands it to you over the top. The germaphobe in me is horrified even thinking about it, but something like lit up in my soul going like this is fine, you know? And I wasn't inebriated or intoxicated at that point because I don't think I had 2 dimes to rub together that night. And so I had barely enough money to play pool, so I wasn't buying drinks. And the guy came from around the side, and somehow I asked him his name, and he said, "My name's Michael." And I was like, "What's your story?" And he said, I don't have one. Which was very interesting because I had never heard that response before, as if he just dropped out of the sky right then and there that day. It's like I have no backstory, you know, in this form. And something prompted me in my heart to start walking around with this Michael. And I started to notice, once I started to look, that his interactions with the world were very different than normal, what we would see in the average normal everyday experience. And something prompted me in my heart to just follow this guy, Michael, around. And it's strange because I'm not the kind of guy that will just puppy dog around with some man that I don't know. Just like, come take a closer walk with me. I'm like, sure. You know, I'd be like, who are you? Get a life. Get out of my face, you know. But thanks for the beer. But something in me just compelled me to just start walking with this person. And I felt utterly like secure and safe in that decision that this was where I needed to go. I didn't even know why or how, but that I just went. No question, no thought really even. It was just like, I'm going. Never even a decision-making process. It was just happening. Like I was swept into a river of some very different events than outside of all the hustle and bustle of a bar scene on New Year's Eve with people playing pool and drinking and carrying on and looking to get laid or looking to get in a fight or looking to get drunk or all of the above, which, you know, that's life in a bar. And so we went out this side door, and walking back around to the front of the building, I remember very markedly an interaction between this Michael and 2 young women that were out there. And I was very surprised. I remember being surprised at the utter grace with which he approached these 2 young women, not like a man, even the most gentlemanly man would approach these women, but there was some air of like otherworldly grace with which he interacted with these women. And because normally it's like, how you doing, you know, or hey, how you doing, or whatever. But there was this like knowledge and kindness and tenderness and compassion, like a shepherding of these women that he didn't even know, and it all happened kind of in an instant as we were just walking by these ladies, but enough different again from normal that my brain was like, that was interesting. You know, are you? And I have nobody else to talk about it except interior. I'm like, are you seeing it? And I'm like, who is this guy? You know, and these things kept happening as we walked, and somehow we ended up back around the front and then back inside, and this went on for a little while. I don't really have a keen sense of the track of time of how long we walked together, but it seemed like the whole world started to kind of fade away, and we were in kind of a world of our own, like a bubble of quiet and peace and serenity in a way that like you just don't get maybe if you're by yourself in a quiet place, but certainly not in the middle of a crowded bar on New Year's Eve. And we were standing kind of at the back of the dance floor, pool tables behind us, the band setting up in front of us, and then the band started to play. And we stood there watching, and then, I kid you not, out of nowhere, basically materialized, I don't know how to explain it, appeared two other men standing with us. And in my soul, I was like, that's Gabriel and that's Raphael. And I was like, this is awesome, you know? And I felt there I can't really describe with words very well. The peace, there was this, they just were there. And then they were gone. And I don't think they even like walked away. It was like, they were there, no sound effects. They were just, they came out of nowhere. And then they were gone as quickly as they came. And there was no introduction. And it's very interesting because we know from moral theology, and this is mostly Catholic moral theology, but that when we get to heaven, there will be an awareness. You and I were talking a little while ago about how our brains process 1 billion bits of information per second. We know from modern science that we're only conscious of somewhere in the ballpark of 10,000 bits of information per second that we can deal with every second. But when we get to heaven, in a more glorified, radiant form, kind of akin to what happened to Jesus when he was transfigured on the Mount of Olives, or we are kind of reach a point of what the Eastern mystics would call total consciousness, right? That we will know and be known implicitly by others. Like you will just know everything about everybody. Like a divine download happens in your brain, heart, head, soul, everything. When you get to heaven, you just know. And that's how I knew who these guys were without having to be told. It's like how I know my dad from a distance by the way that he walks. Kind of this lumbering step from a couple hundred yards away, be like, there's my dad, he's coming, because I know my father. And it's the strangest thing. They were just there. And there was this talk about a bubble of peace, and it was like the whole world was out there, and inside this sphere was myself, Michael, who, and I'm 6'2". To me, I still see him in my mind's eye as much taller than me, and there aren't that many men much taller than me. Not
right.
Like that's 8 feet.
Yeah.
So, and then flanked behind us by who, as far as I can tell, in the experience that I have, was Raphael and Gabriel. And I needed not be told that, which is, I don't know if I can repeat it enough, because sometimes you just know. And then, again, like I said, they were gone. Somehow then we made our way out of the noisy band area. Strange, I have no sense of time for how long we stood, but it was a while. And then they were gone. I don't remember them walking away. It was like they just weren't there. And then it was just me and Michael again. And we went back by the pool table area, and he leaned into me. I'll never forget. Strange thing is, I don't remember his face. But it's like I trusted him like I would trust myself more. But like I would. Strange that I have no memory of his face, but I have this dialogue that actually happened. I came home and wrote about it because it was so profound. He said this thing to me that was the strangest thing. We're by the pool table area. He leans into me, and I don't know if there was really a smile, but more like an exuberance, like some kind of like radiance of the heart, or like an exclamation, like that hallelujah, like trumpets, like you were talking about, like with the word hallelujah, sunshine breaking through the clouds. So he leans into me and he's like, they're out there, the HH. And it's strange because if a total stranger that you met in a bar bathroom, let's talk this out logically, leans to you and says, they're out there, the HH, what would you make of that? But in that moment, my soul knew what he meant was the host of heaven. Right. That's what I was saying. And in my mind's eye, I pictured a ring of angels encompassing the whole bar building, all the people's guardian angels that were there, all the people in the bar. Everybody has been tasked from birth with a guardian angel by God that has been with us since we were conceived. I don't know. That would make more sense. That a pregnant mother would have 2 guardian angels around all the time. The baby's born, the guardian angel goes wherever the kid goes. So it was like a ring of angels all around the bar. And this is what I picked up from the A. So I came home. That's what I wrote in my book when I got home after this experience, a day and a half later, so that I wouldn't forget this story, because time takes things from you, you know. Just 10 years ago. I wrote HH in big letters and the date, and put it in one of these handful. I can't find it. It's in one of these handful of books over here. Feel free to show the books. But the story's not quite over. It gets better. If that's it gets stranger. So somehow we go outside. It's like I wanted to see this HA, but I couldn't see in the ring of angels. In my mind's eye, I saw them. Outside physically, I did not see them, but I knew that it was like I wanted to go stand where the angels were standing. So we went outside. And then somehow there was an altercation happening outside between 2 bar patrons. I don't know if it was a man and a woman or 2 men, but there was some kind of a scuffle, a kerfuffle, some disagreement about something, and the police got called. And it was like the police came like that. I mean, minutes later, as far as I can tell. But then, for me, time was dilating. I think longer amounts of time were going by, and I didn't even... It's weird, because it was, in my memory, the scuffle happened and the police were like immediately there. I don't know if that's the case, or if somehow I lost track of time. But all I remember is we walked outside. We went around we came out, I guess, and to our left, kind of a hook pattern. There's people in the scuffle here. Somehow, when the police arrived, somebody, I don't know who, somebody fingered Michael. They're like, oh, well, he was a part of it, or he started it or something. And I was like, no, because he was been with me the whole time. Before I know it, this Michael character is in handcuffs with the police. Now this is interesting. Okay, this is very interesting, because try explaining this away. It makes me sound like I'm on drugs, because I still don't understand it. So he's in handcuffs. Despite my protestations, the police seem to be arresting him, or at least detaining him. We're going to put him in the back of a cop car or something till they can sort this whole mess out and find out what actually happened. But needless to say, Michael is now in handcuffs, and I'm like try and not get myself arrested by protesting too. I think thou doth protest too much, Shakespeare would say. So I'm like, I'm concerned. I'm like, you can't arrest him. I mean, of all these, this is, you don't understand. I'm trying to, I lack the words. And then he just walked away.
Michael walked away?
Yeah, I don't understand how it happened. 1 second, he's in custody, in handcuffs. The police are like holding him, leading him to a car, and then they weren't.
Wow.
And he walked away out into the field behind the bar and was never seen again. And the handcuffs were not on him anymore, as far as I understand. And even if they were, it was like the word confounded comes to mind. Like, let our enemies of the Lord be. You read the Psalms, David says, make my enemies my footstool. Give me victory over mine enemies. Prepare a banquet before me in the presence of mine enemies. Let my enemies be confounded. It was like, I'm not in handcuffs anymore. And the police were like, they didn't know what planet they were on. They were seeing stars. It was like they had no memory that he was even in handcuffs to begin with.
Wow.
Because if you're in handcuffs and you're being detained and or arrested by the police, you don't get to just walk away.
Right.
That's the nature of being arrested.
Yeah.
You try to walk away, they call that resisting arrest. And
so they weren't like chasing after him or anything.
No,
just nothing.
no, it was like they were stars. It was like, and I'm sitting here watching this in real time. Altercation. Michael did it. Police, handcuffs, and they're like, it's like time goes. The handcuffs, the police. It was like everything separated from everything else. Like you'd see something like shatter in slow motion. And he just walked. No chains, no handcuffs. Just walked out into, it's like, you ever see Field of Dreams, the baseball? Yeah, he just walked out into the cornfield and disappeared in front of my eyes.
Wow.
I don't remember seeing him disappear, but there was nothing out there.
Right.
It was a roadhouse bar off the interstate, and out there for the next 10, 15 miles is snow and ice. It was New Year's Eve, so this is wintertime in Montana. There's nowhere to go in that direction. And if you're fleeing flight to avoid prosecution and resisting arrest, you don't walk, you run.
Yeah.
He just walked away. Because how do you arrest St. Michael the Archangel? As far as I can tell, and St. Michael is my patron saint. It's my confirmation saint that I chose at my confirmation when I was confirmed in the church at about age 14 or 15, whatever, early in high school. I picked the captain of the guard, St. Michael the Archangel. And that's my story.